Welcome to the weekday Q&A with your host, Ryan Kennedy, where I answer questions submitted by our listeners like yourself. These short daily episodes cover a wide variety of topics to help bring you strategies, tools, and insights to optimize your health and better your life. Now on to today's episode. Hey folks, Ryan Kennedy here. Welcome to today's episode on this new Q&A segment I'm super stoked about. Today's question is, how much water should I be drinking per day? Excellent question. You know, a lot of the mainstream recommendations or random things people will hear is drink 8 glasses of water a day. And you're like, okay, how many ounces in each glass? How are you gonna give that blanket recommendation when there's guys that weigh 300 pounds and women that weigh 100 pounds, and there's also professional athletes or really hard charging people that train all the time versus more sedentary folks that never break a sweat. So there's a ton of variables. And so I'm going to give you kind of the breakdown of what you should be looking for with your hydration needs, as well as what is going to be very helpful when it comes to optimizing your water intake for overall health and performance. So ultimately, to answer the question, I do think going off body weight is a good starting metric. So what I tell people I work with is take your weight in pounds and divide it in half and drink that many ounces per day. So if you weigh, let's say 150 pounds, drink about 75 ounces of water per day. Now, things that are going to influence this intake is going to be your activity level, how much exercise you're doing. More exercise means more hydration needs. How much you're sweating, which kind of goes along with the exercise, but particularly if you're doing a lot of heavy sauna sessions, hot yoga, living in a hot, humid environment, you're just sweating all day long, you're gonna really need a lot more water than that half your body weight in ounces kind of figure I threw out. And then, you know, pregnant and breastfeeding women also need a little more water than that. And you know, if you're very sedentary, you might need a little less than that to meet your hydration needs, but that's a good rule of thumb. Vast majority of people are going to greatly benefit from using that as a minimum. So if you weigh 200 pounds, using 100 ounces a day as kind of a minimum. Now, the main thing to look at is the source and quality of your water, because our bodies consist of about 60 to 65% water by weight. But if you actually add up all the molecules in our body, we're 99.8% water molecules, which is absolutely mind-blowing when you think about it. And we're constantly losing water through all these bodily processes like urination, sweating, respiration, just by breathing. And so it's important to look out for signs of dehydration, because a lot of people in our society, a lot of patients I've worked with, a lot of people in my community, what happens is they get this fatigue in the afternoon or brain fog or just not feeling quite right, and they automatically think, I need to eat, or I need more coffee, or, you know, they try and fill this low energy gap, or, you know, something like a disconnect with maybe some supplements, maybe some nootropics, and all those things have their place in time. But oftentimes they just need to drink some water. You know, a lot of people go through their day and they're not that mindful about water, and they drink soda and coffee and tea and all these other things that don't respond the same way when it comes to hydrating your tissues. So what I'm going to say here is just a few tips. In closing, definitely use that benchmark, half your body weight in pounds in ounces of water. Always strive for high quality water sources, whether it's filtration systems you have at your house, whether you source some good natural spring water, but ideally don't drink out of plastic. Don't just drink, you know, basic tap water just because of all the chemicals that the municipalities put into that tap water, like chlorine and fluoride and chloramines and, you know, the heavy metals and other contaminants that get into our water supply. We want to avoid that stuff. So I'm going to be doing a whole episode in the future on water filtration techniques, as well as sourcing spring water should you decide that's a route you wanted to go with. And then understanding H2O is just part of the equation. We also need all of the electrolytes, minerals, and trace elements to go along with that H2O to really hydrate ourselves. And this becomes especially important if you're using a reverse osmosis water filtration system, because while these filter mediums can be great for pulling out all these chemicals I just mentioned, they can really do a disservice in also pulling out the minerals. So you always want to remineralize. So a few products I utilize for this. I use a product called Concern Trace, made by Trace Mineral Research. Put these drops of water, or I'm sorry, drops of liquid minerals, 72 ionic trace minerals, in my water to really amplify the hydration benefits. Aussie Minerals is another brand, similar product, same kind of thing, just different sourcing. And you can find those on Amazon. And then really adding a little pinch of good quality sea salt, like a Redmond's Real Salt, can be great as well. Because a lot of people don't realize they're actually not getting enough sodium. And it's your sodium-potassium ratios that really dictate your cellular function. And because we have these sodium-potassium gated channels within the cell, so it's important to make sure you're getting enough sea salt. Most people, if you salt your food to taste, you're going to be fine. But I find especially those that do a lot of intermittent fasting, you don't eat for a while after you wake up, or if you do eat, maybe you have a smoothie, which obviously it's not going to have much sodium. I find for those individuals, adding either a 1/4 teaspoon or up to a 1/2 teaspoon of a good quality sea salt to your water can really make a difference in how you feel energetically, how you feel from, just the overall cognitive perspective, how you recover and how you train. All those things can be really impacted by adequate sodium. And kind of moving into the last point, one tip I find super simple, really helps to up your hydration consistency, is just getting a big water bottle, bringing it with you everywhere you go, having it by your side. This also helps you track the amount of water you're drinking. So I'm holding up a 32-ounce glass mason jar, and I know for my water needs, I'm gonna be drinking about 3, maybe 4 of these a day. And that way you have good quality water with you. You could get a stainless steel, one with a lid that you can take with you. And let's say you weigh 160 pounds, like I need to really hit about 80 ounces of water a day. You get a 40-ounce stainless steel hydro flask, bada bing, bada boom. Drink 2 of those and you are set for your water. So those are just a few tips, but ultimately just beware of signs of dehydration. Always, before you, grab a snack or some, various caffeine sources, try drinking some water if you're feeling a little low energy in the afternoon. A lot of times that's going to really do the trick for most folks. And then one last tip I'll leave you with when it comes to getting good water is if you're doing a lot of sweating, having an actual electrolyte powder can be helpful with a higher quotient of those macro minerals, those electrolytes like chloride, potassium, magnesium, and so on. And my favorite brand for that is Ultima electrolyte powder. Fantastic taste, good quality formula. So that's what I'll add into my water in the morning or before I go in the sauna session. And I find that is really, really helpful. So hope you found this helpful. Please share it along to anyone in your life that needs to drink more water, focus more on hydration. And by drinking more water, guys, you're going to kind of crowd out some of the not so ideal beverages to be drinking a lot of, like alcohol, sodas, too much coffee, things of that nature. So thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Hope you found it valuable. Hope you learned something. Coming at you tomorrow with another Q&A episode just like this one. So stay tuned for that.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you found it helpful, please share it along to anyone else you believe it can serve. You can submit your own question to be answered on the show by going to ryankennedyhealth.com/podcast. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review for the show. Your feedback helps to support me on my mission to positively impact as many people as possible with this information. Please note, the information depicted in this episode is purely for informational purposes only. Please consult your healthcare professional before making any changes to your lifestyle or routine.